On behalf of Cooper Tires and drivers, start your elite engines.
And there you go, engines coming to life on pit lane. Time to go racing for the first of 3 events for Cooper Tires, USF 2000. Bobby Corser, I'll be back in the booth momentarily.
Thank you, my friend. We appreciate it. All right, engines have fired, as you guys see right there on the track. We are looking at 25 laps, about 35-minute lap time. We have on pole, earlier for today, Jace Denmark will lead the field to green. Joining him and Nikita Johnson are your 2 cars that will be on row number 1. We are excited. This is the first of 9 races over the next 3 days. It is the Grand Prix of Portland. It cannot ask for better conditions out there. The sun is out. Temperature's starting to warm up just a little bit. What a beautiful day. Cars are on track. Phil, it's the first race of 9. Here we go.
We're just getting started, buddy. Although we've been going since, what, about 7 this morning. You maybe 8, 9 o'clock. But, buddy, what a weekend. We still got 2 more days after this. Like you said, lots of tickets still available. Can't make it today, make it tomorrow. If not, plan to be here Sunday. We're just getting started. We can't wait. The voice just walked in the door.
He is the man. He is a myth and a legend.
Wow.
You like that?
Yeah, I can live with that. That works for me. No, this was great, guys. Great to be here. And, again, great to get things underway. No wasting time here on a Friday, a fun Friday, as Bobby said. We're going to go racing here with the Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship. Chase Denmark starting on the pole position for Pabst Racing. Bonus point brings him within 1 more marker closer to his teammate, Miles Rowe. Started on the outside of row number 2. Denmark 24 points back in the championship. Rowe with a chance to clinch it, but we'll see what happens. Denmark and Nikita Johnson, just 14 years of age, starting on the outside of the front row. Canadian Thomas Naveau. In the D-Force Racing number 10, starting in 3rd alongside your point leader, Miles Rowe. Row 3 will have Nicky Hayes from Cape Motorsports. An impressive driver making his debut here this weekend in USF 2000. The USF Juniors point leader, Matt Clark, out of Campbellville, Ontario, Canada, starting 6th outside of row number 3. Jacob Douglas, great starting spot for the Kiwi for Exclusive Autosport. He'll start 7th alongside the other championship contender, Michael D'Orlando, out of Hartsdale, New York for Cape Motorsports. D'Orlando in the white number 4. Row number 5, coming off your top 10, Dylan Christie in the number 11 for D-Force Racing. And Billy Fraser, the other driver out of Exclusive Autosport, the Kiwi in the number 92 Corpay machine. Row number 6, we'll see Christian Weir alongside Nicholas D'Orlando, Jagger Jones, and Jorge Garcias on row 7. Spike Kohlbecker and Danny Dzelski on row 8. Ivagors Papasavas and Luke Mann, row 9. Ethan Ho on row number 10. Field is lined up, folks. We're going to go racing here as they come down the front straightaway. Time to go to the Festival Chicane for the first time. Hold your breath as we're getting ready to fire things up, and this race is green, green, green. Powering down into turn number 1. Can they get through cleanly? A couple drivers together further back, not able to get through. Other drivers coming through the shortcut there on the right side of the screen. They'll work their way through. One driver coming back around. You got to figure somebody potentially got contact, trying to work their way through the corner here right now. One driver still there. That's going to be the 92, I believe, of Billy Fraser. Oh, tough one for Fraser. Oh, that's the 93, actually, that's involved there. That's Nicholas D'Orlando. So I thought it was Fraser. It's actually the 93 of Nicholas D'Orlando, potentially a round over in turn number 1. So at the back of the pack, struggling to get through there and made some contact. Otherwise, everybody else slotting into position. We are green and racing right now. Whether we go full course yellow, not yet determined. But they are racing hard for position. Once we do go full course, we lock down the grid. So they'll race as hard as they can in the opening circuit to see if they can't get themselves forward. The opening laps, close together, the best opportunity to pass. And indeed, full course yellow for the incident in turn number 1, as I expected. Always a chance for some chaos coming into that very tight right-hander that leads through 1, 2, and 3. But again, there you go, folks. Jace Denmark able to get the lead, but the pace car coming out. Bobby, an issue early on, contact over in turn number 1.
20 cars trying to funnel down into a very small, tight right-hand turn. And as we saw, we have at least 1 car collected, and the damage that we did see on the initial video looks bad, so he's not going to be able to continue in. So
yeah, you know, when you're coming into a corner like that and someone stopped in front of you, all it takes is drivers going left and right. You can end up, damaging some of the suspension. It doesn't take that much. But I believe we'll see Nicholas D'Orlando climbing out of this one. The AMR IndyCar safety crew has already got themselves onto the scene. They'll get that car moved quickly. And ideally, we'll be able to go back to green flag running. Let's have a quick look at the update because a couple drivers able to leverage this. Jace Denmark with the lead. Thomas Naveau up into 2nd. Nicky Hayes 3rd. Miles Rowe in 4th. Michael D'Orlando goes up to Jacob Douglas up to 5th. Michael D'Orlando 6th. Johnson 7th. Clark back to 8th. Ethan Ho from the tail of the field up to 9th. You got to wonder whether or not he was able to climb through, or he may have taken the escape road and came across. Danny Dzelski up into the 10th position, and Jagger Jones moving up as well. Billy Fraser started 10th. He falls back to 13th. So a lot of shuffling in the order on that opening circuit.
Nikita Johnson drops 5 spots, starting on the outside of road number 1, goes into 7th right now. So you got to see what happened there. But again, stuff could happen. Could have been a little bit late on the start. Could have been cars going around and didn't want to risk an incident. So field shakes out a little bit. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll get a chance to see a replay here to see what happened. Here it is here coming down in. You can see that down to the bottom of the racetrack. There's the contact further back, sending guys moving. Coming down to the corner, Jace Denmark on the inside. There's on the outside. Closer on the inside, actually, of turn number 2 is Nikita Johnson. He gets pinched down. Denmark comes down on Johnson. He has to climb the curb on the inside. That's going to allow Matt Clark or Thomas Naveau in the blue and white car to go through. You can see coming through the back here are one of the turn 3 cars, as well as the 92 of Billy Fraser. He had to take evasive maneuvers as well. You have to stop and come back through there again. That's the thing about this corner. If you don't make it through on the racetrack, you're going to wind your way through the obstacles that stop you from being able to cut that corner.
Yeah, and they do that strictly for somebody does not get an advantage. We see damage now. Oh.
So this is the way these cars are designed. Those of you who may not follow the Road to Indy that much or any kind of open-wheel formula car racing, this is designed to do this. They'll literally be able to bring this car back, unbolt all those parts, and bolt a new front end. Now, that's a pretty expensive corner of a race car, to be honest, but that is something that they'll be able to get fixed. Looks like potentially just the right front, so minimal damage. And remember, we're coming back and racing this afternoon again, so the exclusive Autosport crew has some work to do on the number 93 of Nicholas D'Orlando.
Right, it looks like, thankfully, it's just suspension. Wing looks okay, rest of the body looks okay. We saw that, especially last Friday. IndyCar was in town testing, and Romain Grosjean, lots of off-course excursions, ended up having an issue where he broke the front suspension, and you watch the mechanics. Couple bolts, pulls it off, new set comes right back on, and like you never knew anything happened.
Yeah,
so.
and the idea is to have that crush zone as well, right?
Absolutely.
When you have the contact, you don't want it to get into the carbon fiber tub. There are going to be zones where it will take and absorb that impact and snap off at a certain area. So again, and surprising, I will say this, and you mentioned it, the front wing's actually not damaged. Normally when you have right front or left front damage, it's going to hit the wing as well. So obviously, I'm going to say very likely kind of wheel-to-wheel contact potentially there where he climbed up over top. We saw a lot of action there on the opening run down into turn number 1. And I think worth mentioning as well, Bobby, we talked about this in qualifying. None of the drivers here at USF 2000 have ever raced here at Portland before. It was back in 2019 was the last time we were here. So they've never had a chance to go through this corner. And I mentioned it earlier. I said this is probably the most precarious turn 1, 2, 3 complex in all of American motorsports, at least for us for sure. Let's have another look at this. We're going to get the inside camera here, potentially coming into one. So here's the action. People throwing it in there deep. We'll look a little further back for the contact. Is right there. Someone locking up. And somebody got into the back. One of the J. Howard driver development cars getting into the back of Nicholas D'Orlando. I want to say potentially Jorge Garcias in the number 9 getting into the back. So Nicholas D'Orlando, his brother, of course, trying to run for the championship here. No fault of his own coming into the braking zone. You see a bunch of drivers locking it up, and someone just went a little too deep into that braking zone, got into the gearbox, and around you go. Really, at that point, you're along for the ride.
Exactly. Car went sideways, and that would explain why we just had the limited damage just to the front suspension. So it looks like we probably will have one more to go this time around. I believe the lights are off on the pace car, so that would be one to go. You mentioned they have not had any experience here. Welcome. You've just passed Masterclass PIR 101.
Your first experience through turn number 1. Try to give each other room. And listen, this is something you try to teach these young drivers that are further back in the pack. If you're starting on row 6, 7, 8, and 9, check up a little early.
Oh yeah.
There's no need to go there's no need to charge into that corner knowing that everybody's going to start locking it up. There could potentially be an issue. And Garcias gets pushed down to 17th. Christie down into 18th. D'Orlando out as we know. Papa Savas down a couple of spots as well. So it didn't play well for anybody involved in that incident. In a corner like this, first race of the weekend, knowing there's another race coming up in short order, don't make a mistake and wreck the car and not be able to go to race number 2.
Exactly. And again, what we have seen is if you hold up just a little bit, chances are there's an incident in front of you, your reaction time will be that much greater. Hopefully you get through without any damage. We talked to Will Power about that earlier this week. He's like, listen, if you're in the front 3 rows, you have to make a move. You have to charge. After that, anything could happen.
After that, the problem with it is the racers will say, tell you, the opening lap, the opening couple of corners, that's the best time to make a move, right?
Absolutely.
You can get so much. Everybody's close together. People get boxed up. You can make that big move. But I also say this: you can lose the race in the opening corner. You can never win it. You can try as hard as you can, but you can never win the race in that opening corner.
We saw it last year, Bobby. Almost every race, every series, into that corner. We expected it, and no surprise.
Single file restart. We're back to racing right now with what will be a 25-lap race for drivers here in USF 2000. Big run down the straightaway again. We'll see what happens this time through and get a good opportunity to attack. You see a number of drivers going to the bottom of the racetrack, really working the curbing on the inside of turn number 1. A couple of lockups further back. Everybody pushing the braking zone as much as they can, but finally settling in. Once we get through the opening corner, it will start getting to single file. Then the drivers can go to work on each other. And indeed, cleanly now through 1, 2, and 3, through the big sweeping turn number 4. Drivers now finally getting things underway. And I'll tell you, for Jace Denmark, this is an opportunity for him to slowly claw his way back into the championship contention. He's still one of the 3 drivers with a mathematical opportunity, but it's Miles Rowe in the 22 who is out front by 24 points over both D'Orlando and Denmark. So he's going to try to do what he can to get that top 5. But Denmark, man, with an opportunity to chip it away. You think about it, you're 24 points back. 8 points or 9 points per race. If you can gain it back, you end up being the champion at the end of the day.
That would be fantastic for him. And again, just got to now bring the car home. He's done what he needs to. He started on pole, got the point. Now let's go forward. Let's win this race.
And let's bring this up, too. He's coming off a victory at Toronto, so he was able to do that. He was able to go out front, lead a race, which is something that it's what the Road to Indy is about. Not only do you want them to learn how to drive, lead the race, lose the lead, take it back. Same with the championship. Learn to be in a championship fight. That's one of the things I always stress to a lot of the parents is, you don't want to push your driver forward too quickly. If they haven't had a chance to learn how to win yet, that's something that they need to learn. They're not going to learn it when they go up one more level against even better drivers in faster cars. On the way up the ranks, try to be able to have every opportunity to learn how to win and learn how to vie for a championship.
Enjoy the experience.
That's it, man. It's a developmental ladder. We talk a lot about that, but sometimes I think not so much we forget, but I think a lot of the times the competitors and the families forget they're going to make mistakes. They're developing. This is what we're to do here, to try to get these drivers prepared for the NTT IndyCar Series. And again, as you guys said, Jace Denmark comfortably out into the lead, but Thomas Naveau pushing hard. There's a side-by-side run down the back straightaway as well into the 10, 11, 12 combination. Couple of big moves further back, couple of the Cape drivers moving forward. That might have been Michael D'Orlando, I think, potentially getting by Jacob Douglas. Douglas currently running in 6th. Last time that could have been, then D'Orlando up to P5, I believe now. He's going to try to chase down Rowe. So again, Michael D'Orlando's got to make hay right now because he cannot finish behind Miles Rowe and expect to try to vie for the championship before it's all said and done. He did not qualify particularly well. Had an issue yesterday in the middle session. Missed the official practice session at the end of yesterday. So track time, of course, a premium here, Bobby. When you've never been here before. He got the first session in, wrecked the second session, missed the third. So a little behind the 8 ball for Michael D'Orlando. So he'll be learning as he goes right now as he's now worked his way up to P5.
The seat time is so important, as we've talked about. You got to know how the track functions, and there are so many little oddities when you drive at Portland International Raceway. Not only is it turns 1, 2, and 3, or 10, 11, 12, going through 4, 5, and 6, it's sweeping. It's different. You can pass. It's incredibly difficult. But if you have a fast car, you can do it.
And the drivers will tell you when they're in that 4, 5, 6 combination, when they're trying to come through, you've got to kind of go off on. You got to push a driver hard so he'll make that mistake. You miss a turn in coming through 5, and all of a sudden the car pushes out a bit. It's a big wide entry to the inside. You mentioned that. Now you're going to give up a little bit on the exit, but if you can get that pass done, you can still get it done there as well. Turn 1, obviously the crucial pass. Here we have a move further back. They are making a move by. Look at these guys left and right. That's Rowe trying to find a way by. Nikki Hayes is doing a great job. They're side by side coming through turn number 1, 2, and 3. I think they may have been able to get through. We didn't see the exit. We saw the apex curbing there, but not sure whether or not he is through. Rowe is through to P3. Oh, driver going to go off the racetrack. That is, I think, Nicky Hayes potentially off the track on the outside of turn number 4. Hard coming through 1, 2, and 3. And he has gone off the racetrack as he had lost that spot to Miles Rowe. So move Rowe up to P3. And when you think about he's battling Denmark, his teammate, those are points he needed to get back. So he's not going to lose too much here if Denmark's able to walk away to the win.
But that was still crucial. We talked about, again, entry and exit points, right? Battling with a guy, got too far outside, and at that point, you run out of real estate into the grass.
And you also run out of grip, right? There's not a lot of grip out there. Welcome to the marbles on the outside of the racetrack. A lot dirtier when you're not there. And again, we'll see things change once IndyCar gets onto the racetrack. They're going to lay a lot of rubber down that will present more grip for the drivers in the second half of the day. Again, 2 races for USF 2000, 2 for Indy Pro here this weekend, or this day here in Portland. We'll wrap up the season with single races tomorrow. But Miles Rowe putting the hammer down, as is Michael D'Orlando. He's coming up, and so is Nikita Johnson. No, D'Orlando's falling back. That was D'Orlando, not Hayes, who went off the racetrack. Championship implications, and there's contact further back as well. Another driver, 2 drivers getting together. Overzealous coming into turn number 1. Those drivers trying to get back around. Hopefully we can get a replay of what happened there. That was further back in the pack. Might have been Kohlbecker and Papasavas. A couple drivers together, 3 in total together further back. Jagger Jones might have been involved there as well. But Michael D'Orlando in the number 4, the driver who went off in turn number 4. Guys, he came in 24 points back. You can't give up points in the opening circuit. He's not going to be totally out of it, but he has hurt himself big times in points.
Bobby, we've talked about it, and Rob, of all the tracks, this is more than likely got to be one of the roughest, toughest tracks for them to run on. Of the series they run?
I think it's very tight. That's one of the biggest things, right? You really have to force an issue to try to get a pass done, whereas a Road America, you have these long straightaways where you can do the draft and the outbreaking. Mid-Ohio's like that as well, where there's not a lot of places to pass. That's one of the things here. You've got to really work the guy in front of you if you're trying to make a move. And indeed, folks, being told we are, again, full course yellow. So we have gone yellow on the racetrack. Not exactly sure yet what the reason is, but another full course yellow on the racetrack here right now. And it's one of the drivers that was involved in that opening incident is stuck on the right side or left side of the racetrack here. And let's have a look here at that replay. Here they come down into the corner. I saw it from the other shot that we had. There's going to be contact further back as you come in. You'll see a driver. Someone's going to go way deep into the corner and get into the gearbox of the driver in front of him. That's the contact that loops the first car. Everybody else having to take evasive maneuvers. Here it is here. Someone thinking about down the inside where there's less grip. They'll come into the corner. Coming across the curb there. No contact there. Here's the contact here. Mid-corner correction. I believe that was somebody getting into the back of Spike Kohlbecker. And again, I'm not quite sure which driver got into the back of Kohlbecker. I think Christian Weir might have been caught up in that as well. The potential driver who went to the back is Jagger Jones. Here's the shot that we had seen before. Yeah, there's move. Kohlbecker already turning into the corner. He gets taken out from the back, and around he goes. So a number of drivers involved in the incident down there. It's actually Jagger Jones in the Cape Motorsports number 3 that is stalled in turn number 2. So, again, one of the things I'll bring up, and this is interesting when you consider it. Let's watch the replay again. Didn't realize we were getting another shot. Everybody rolling through here. You'll see the contact coming further back. These guys coming through here nicely. You see them down to the apex of turn 1, right up to the apex of 2, letting the car drift all the way out to be able to circle around 3. A little bit more of a early entry to turn number 3 to work their way to 4. You can see the contact further back. Driver goes around, and there's more contact. That was Christian. So I think it looks to me like Jones got into the back of Christian Weir at the same time as we had one of the J. Howard driver development cars getting into the back of Spike Kohlbecker. Weir and Kohlbecker both turn 3 motorsports. Not a good start to the day for them as both those drivers getting looped around. They'll fall to the tail of the field. Weir now 15th, Kohlbecker in 16th. Another shot of it here. Let's take a look this time at the first incident further up the road. See, there's the wreck there. And then there is Jagger Jones up on the curbing. He gets down to the inside of Weir, up over the curb, and that was right front to left rear contact.
And gets elevated, too, on the wheel.
Yeah, they were connected together the entire time as they were doing that half spin.
Is that a result of just guys checking up a little bit, or is it what causes that?
Well, I think in the one further back looked to me like the J. Howard car probably just powered in too hard, tried to carry a lot of speed in. You don't know whether or not Kohlbecker checked up a little bit. He may have saw the incident happening out in front of him with Jones and And Weir, that potentially saw that, check up a little bit so I can get through. That definitely could have been a chain reaction. But it looked to me like Jones probably powered down the inside, trying to see if he couldn't carry some more speed. And when you get into the back of somebody, it's usually the guy's fault in the back unless you're coming back across the racetrack. So hard for me to obviously call here from the limited vantage points we have. We don't have in-car cameras. That's what the race directors will look at as well to be able to come up with their final decision. But the bottom line is that was an issue for a couple of drivers outside the top 10. And again, this is where I was going before we went to saw the restart again. Everybody comes into the finale weekend with a different mindset.
Sure.
There are 3 guys up front looking for a championship. There are guys 4th on back, maybe haven't got a race win yet. That's what's in their mind. I got to win a race. Like Thomas Deveau right now, he won last year at Road America, but hasn't been able to stand on top of the podium yet this year. He wants to win a race. He wants to put his head down, so he's going to try to get Denmark here. He's got a different mindset than Denmark, who's thinking about the championship. But guys outside the top 10 probably get a bit frustrated. Jagger Jones, of course, outside the top 10, trying to push hard. Everybody's got a different mindset coming into the race, and that's what kind of changes things and presents the opportunity for incidents when everybody's thinking a different way going into a corner.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Looks like we're going to have probably one more lap to go before we're back to green. Find out here as they come down the front stretch if the lights on the pace car go out. Possibly.
I would assume that they'll be able to get it cleaned up at that point. You never know what potentially went down onto the racetrack. So,
and 2 spots they do have to clean up. It wasn't just one instant location. So,
and anytime you get rear gearbox contact, you could potentially break the gearbox and drop some fluid on the track. I haven't seen anybody out there with any speedy dry to work on it yet. Yeah, you can see that they've just finally got the car off to the right side or the middle of the screen. They pull the car off and then put it behind the wall on the inside of turn number 1 and 2. So that looks clean. We'll go back to green, but we've had a bunch of yellows. 8 laps or 6 yellow flag laps so far. It'll be obviously 7 when we come back around. There'll be still 13 laps remaining, I believe, when we get rolling here. So not the start we wanted to USF 2000, but like I said, a track they've never been to. They haven't. Where's all the trouble been?
Right.
1, 2, and 3.
Yep. I mean, it is the story of Portland. I really, I need to talk to the guys at Green Savory next week and be like, hey, we need T-shirts next year that just says turns 1, 2, 3.
We wanted the trailer down there.
Yeah.
That's where we wanted to have our view. But we're just approaching halfway, and we've seen a lot of action already.
Yeah, not surprising, but I would assume now that it'll kind of settle in a little bit. That's normally what will happen. But as you guys know, cautions breed cautions, right?
Yes,
so we're going to get another restart, another rundown into turn number 1, 2, and 3, the Festival Chicane. And as I've said before, Thomas Deveau wants a win. And D-Force Racing wants a win here. They won the championship last year with Kiko Porto, who now runs with them in Indy Pro 2000. And I guarantee you, this young Canadian, Thomas Deveau, he's been doing a lot of kart racing throughout the year as well. One of the top kart racers in North America and keeps himself sharp on the off weekends, running top-level national karting events. This guy has great racecraft, and I guarantee you he will be trying to leverage this restart to potentially go to P1. But Denmark, as we said, will defend aggressively because this is an opportunity right now. He runs P1. His teammate Miles Rowe in the 3rd spot. I'll pull out my points charts here. We'll have a look what that will mean in the championship standings because there's an opportunity for him to close up. Denmark winning is 351 points. Rowe in 3rd, 368. He would cut it down to potentially 17 points. Add a bonus for most laps led. It could be a 16-point advantage. That's all it could be going into the next race. He's also got fast lap of the race, Denmark. That's another bonus point. We're going around another lap still. So there's an opportunity here potentially for Denmark to go to within 15 points with 2 more races to go.
We talk about a momentum swing, and that would be huge.
Yep. I will say this. We know that Deveau is going to get aggressive. No one's ever said that Miles Rowe is not aggressive.
Right.
He's a guy that has a full confidence in his abilities, in his race car. Pabst has given him a great car. He knows Denmark's out front. They've got the race car to do it. So I would think that not only will you see Thomas Deveau get aggressive in the number 10 to go for the P1, but I think Rowe might be right there with a dive bomb move to the bottom as well to see if he can't find his way to P2. Because he's trying to limit the damage, right? Even though it's his teammate, Jace Denmark, he needs this scholarship. Miles, of course, coming in last year with Force Indy, and then moving over to Pabst Racing this year. He has been a revelation this year, winning a lot of races. But I'll tell you, he wants this championship. He wants to go to Indy Pro, make that step to the next level. He does have some backing and support from Roger Penske and the Penske Entertainment Group, which has been tremendous. He's, of course, trying to pay off that confidence from Roger to see if he can't get a championship here.
Hey, and if the captain is confident in you, you know that you're probably a really, really good driver.
I'll take that verification on my Twitter account for sure.
100%.
Right?
100%.
No doubt about it. Roger Penske, of course, been around a long time in this sport, one of the legends, and, of course, the owner of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway now and the NTT IndyCar Series, and, of course, Penske Racing.
Lights are out on the pace
Let's
car.
go back to racing.
Let's do it.
I've had enough driving around here at half speed. These cars like to be driven fast. They do not like to cruise around. They're not comfortable. These drivers want that air rolling through. Time to go back to racing. And look at this. Naveau right there with Denmark. A little further back is Rowe, but it's a long run down to the straightaway. Who gets the big draft? Will it be Nikita Johnson or Jacob Douglas trying to make a move as well? Here they come down the straightaway. Into turn number 1 again. Green flag flying from Aaron Likens to start-finish. They'll go, how about 3 wide? Down into turn number 1. Big move down the bottom of the racetrack. Can they get through cleanly? And they do. And I want to say that Rowe, I think, able to go to P2. Let's have a look when they come out of 3 and 4. Great shot here coming through. Denmark with a nice little advantage, and indeed, Miles Rowe has gone to second. Naveau goes back to third spot. Nikita Johnson, just 14 years of age for VRD Racing. He now runs P4 ahead of Jacob Douglas, looking to match his best finish of the year in P5. Nicky Hayes runs 6th. Matt Clark 7th. Billy Fraser 8th. Danny Dzelski, the best we've seen him run all year. He's running 8th ahead of Ethan Ho, who started at the tail of the field. Ho in the VRD machine up into 10th. So fighting further back. You can see that one of the drivers there, I believe that was Cole Becker and Weir going at it. That might be Dylan Christie in there as well. There's your leaders coming across. And in fact, there's a move there for Johnson. He has gone to third. Nikita Johnson, a race winner this year in USF Juniors, 4th in the points in that development series, has shown extremely well here in USF 2000. Could be a rookie who could go after a championship next year. We'll see him in full-time USF 2000 with VRD next year. Here comes the run back down to 1. Miles Rowe putting his head down. The Pabst Racing cars run 1-2 right now. And again, can Miles Rowe get by Jace Denmark? He is limited to the damage right now. He'll only get a couple of points on him. But even here, because I believe as we get past the halfway point, we have got past the halfway point, so that's a bonus point for most laps led for Denmark. The bonus point for the pole already. He still has the fast lap of the race. So that's 3 bonus points. He'll be 5 points ahead on the racetrack. 30 points for the win, 25 points for second. So it could be an 8-point swing, moving it down to, I believe, it would be 13 points going in to race number 2.
Starts to really tighten up. And, you know,
yeah, I like it.
Let's go back to the restart real quick. We saw some very aggressive moves to get up into those position spots. So, again, guys are making moves because they know they want to win or they know they're battling for the championship. And honestly, you have to have that because if you're not being aggressive now, when are you going to be aggressive?
That's it. Listen, this is the exact timing, right? You said that perfectly. Because, you know, you want to have to pull a driver back. You don't want to have to push them forward, right? You don't want to have to try to make them aggressive. Roger Penske used to always say that about Paul Tracy. You never had to push Paul Tracy forward. You're always kind of trying to hold him back, right, to rein him in because he was always being super aggressive. You want the drivers to have the aggression, but you want controlled aggression. You want them to know when to be aggressive and when to sit back. Right now, Miles Rowe, he could probably be content sitting second place right now. Yeah, he's going to lose some markers to his teammate Jace Denmark, but better than going up there and potentially taking each other out, right? That's one thing. I guarantee you, Augie Paps will be on the radio. Just tell these guys to remember what's going on. They did the same thing at Road America when they finished 1-2 like this. I think Rowe may have been able to make the move past to potentially take the spot, but they were like, guys, be smart. Don't wreck each other. A 1-2 finish is strong, and that has allowed Rowe, of course, to take this lead in. There's Billy Fraser having a great battle there right now, side by side. That's he and Danny Dzelski, I believe, potentially going at it, coming down. Might even be Nicky Hayes, but we got some great racing just outside the top 5. 2 wide coming down the back straight. Look at them throwing these cars, and I talked about that. They just whip those cars into turn number 10, get it to come back around for 11, and through turn number 12, roll back on that throttle car and a little bit of drift. You've got that, you know, that slide on the tire, getting the thing to roll its way out here. That slip angle as they come out of turn number 12, getting back on power. It'll keep hooking up and eventually roll you all the way down into 1. That's when we see the moves down to the inside of that turn 1, 2, 3 complex. Look at this lineup of drivers here. That is probably third on back. Johnson, Naveau, actually Douglas, Clark, Fraser, Dzelski, Hayes, and Garcias, and then a half a second back to Michael D'Orlando.
Fantastic drive right there. These guys are going at it full speed. They are not holding anything back. watch how they come into turns 1 and 2, right? You want to hit that apex. You want to make sure you maintain maximum amount of speed. These guys are just throwing it completely sideways.
Well, the key coming over the curbing of turn number 1 is, remember, you got to get back to the left. So
You do.
you can't have the car going in with a bunch of, let's say, mid-corner oversteer where it starts to get loose on you, because then you can't get it to transition back. You really have to be smooth coming through 1 so that the car's balanced so you can immediately tiptoe back to the right-hand side. When you don't do that, that's when you see drivers pushing wide or potentially getting up over the curb. The car's not angled in the right way. There's a good fight there further back as well. As you can see a little bit further down in the battle there, you've got Garcias onto Hayes. That's a good push as well. He's right on the gearbox of Nicky Hayes. Across the start-finish line again. Denmark the lead about 7/10 over Rowe, but it's 1.3 seconds from Rowe back to Johnson. So the two Pabst racing cars are pulling out nicely here right now. Hayes, Garcias, D'Orlando, and Weir just straddling the top 10. Nikita Johnson, man, another podium for him would be tremendous. This kid is definitely one to watch. Just 14 years of age. He's done a lot of off-season testing. Of course, kind of belies the experience that he has, because you think, hey, he hasn't run a lot of races. It's only his second weekend here in USF 2000. But the amount of work he's done testing the USF Juniors car, he's been behind the wheel of the USF 2000. They've done the work away from the racetrack to make sure when he made his debut it was going to be a good one, right? That's one of the things you want to do, and I've always said this. When a young driver comes into this program for the first time, you want to make an impact. You want people to stand on the side of the wall and say, who is this kid?
Do they have a simulator where they can test?
Well, they don't have like a top-end NASCAR simulator or an IndyCar simulator. There is obviously a Dallara simulator. The driver's off. We've got a driver's gone off at turn number 11 and 12. Someone just dropping a wheel coming through turn number 12 on the entry. Not quite sure who that was, but we'll see who falls down the order in that top group. Let's not jump on it quite yet. Driver just getting rolling again. That might have been Billy Fraser. Indeed, the Fraser, the number 92, the Kiwi, went off on the outside, pushing hard, and he is going to fall all the way back to 15th. And that is a place, Bobby, you cannot make a mistake over in turn number 12 like that, because it's the start of the straightaway, number 1. Number 2, it just takes you forever to get back onto the racetrack cleanly.
It really does. There's a little dip right there. If you have spent any time at PR, you know when you come around there, there's a little bit of dip off the curb, goes into a grass area, and then into some gravel. So he luckily was able to get back on the track somewhat quickly, but that is one of the worst places to drop a wheel here
exactly.
at PIR.
Back to you, Phil. So obviously there's a simulator in Indianapolis and Speedway from Dallara, but of course that's something kind of reserved for IndyCar drivers. It costs a lot of money. One of the things obviously these drivers do hugely is they get on iRacing, right? They leverage iRacing in a big way. Track time is tough. Any facility that we can't get to, these guys spend hours and hours banging out laps on iRacing to get a feel for the racetrack the first time they're there. And as you know, it's very close in terms of dynamics as well. They can work with their coaches. They can work with their teams to make sure the car's set up the way it needs to be. But they really use the iRacing service incredibly.
And the iRacing has become a big deal all across sports.
There's a pass for the lead potentially. Yeah, we got a great scrap here right now. Miles Rowe trying to go after his teammate. Denmark able to hold him back. This fight side by side has allowed Johnson to close back up. 6 laps still remaining. It'll be 5 to go, and they come back around. There's the fight for first, second, and third. Thomas Naveau by himself fourth. Matt Clark, the young Canadian from Ontario, for D-Force Racing, his debut weekend in USF 2000. He has got himself into P5. What a great drive for Clark. Douglas runs in 6th. Dzelski 7th. Hayes, D'Orlando, and Garcias rounding out the top 10. But Nikita Johnson putting all this pressure now as he's closed back up. Denmark and Rowe fighting it out. And to be honest, now it is actually Johnson on Rowe. Rowe tried to make a move by Denmark, didn't get it done. Now he's got Johnson coming down the inside. Oh, Johnson, I think, had to check up a little bit. That is a wise move out of a 14-year-old to be able to, Bobby, see the situation. I don't have it done. Check up, let him through, go back at it. Lots more opportunities to pass here with 5 laps to go.
Absolutely. He lost very little ground there, but he made the smart move. You cannot go 2x2 through that section at these speeds. It is just not possible.
Well, one of you can't, right?
That's true.
One driver's coming out the other side if you're going to try to go 2x2, or maybe none. More fighting further back. You can see the drivers taking big moves down to the bottom of turn number 1. Your top 10 has Denmark leading, Rowe second. There's the gap right now. This has allowed Jace Denmark to pull away because now Rowe has gone on the defensive. He had his mind focused on Denmark early. Now he's got Johnson, who is going to be hungry to work his way forward. Thomas Naveau coming up as well as the Canadians running 4th and 5th. Thomas Naveau from the province of Quebec. Matt Clark from Ontario. And then it's Douglas, Dazelski, D'Orlando, Hayes, and Garcias. D'Orlando trying to fight his way back forward to limit his bleeding here in the championship, as he's got those drivers he's fighting with running first and second right now. So D'Orlando's going to be losing out here. Still an opportunity. Here goes Johnson back down to the inside again, side by side. Not quite. And he's through.
Yep.
That is, I believe, Rowe off. Rowe, I think, off the racetrack and potentially, he's coming through the escape road. So Rowe goes off the racetrack, blow this championship wide open. Nikita Johnson to the inside, makes the move, and Miles Rowe does not give it up, and he has to come down. How far down the order is he going to fall? This is a stroke of luck for Michael D'Orlando, because Rowe's going to fall all the way down to 11th with 4 laps to go. Miles Rowe did not want to give up second to Nikita Johnson. Nikita looked to the inside the first time, had the move, I think, done the second time, and Rowe had nowhere to go. Bobby, what do you think about that?
2 cars, we just said you can't do it, and it pushed him off, but what a great pass. He set him up perfectly through that left-right.
And listen, we talked about guys with different mindsets, right? Nikita Johnson's trying to make a name for himself in USF 2000 right now. He ran really well at Mid-Ohio. It was his debut a couple of months ago. This is him saying, hey, listen, I'm here for 2022 or 2023. I'm not letting you guys walk away. I'm coming in here to show you what I've got. I want to put VRD back up top. VRD won all 3 races with Alex Quinn, a British driver who came over at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway during the month of May to win on the road course. So they have victories there. They are the team champions already in our USF Juniors program with 2 drivers in the fight for the championship there. But Dan Mitchell's team and this young driver is impressing me here today. He has gone to P2. And we'll see as they come across the line. You know the gap for Denmark's going to be big. Yeah, almost 2 seconds now for Jace Denmark with 3 to go. He's in a great position. And we'll have a look at the points possibility chart here, because this, like I said, is going to be wild as things kind of shake out here. Couple laps remaining, as we said. Denmark, Johnson, Naveau onto the podium in 3rd. As they run. Matt Clark runs in 4th spot. He's 4 seconds behind Naveau and 1.1 ahead of Douglas. And for a driver like Clark, his debut, he's not going to push it. He's going to hold on to P4 and make sure he takes care of things with Douglas over a second back.
What a great display of talent on your first race in USF 2000 to be able to go as a rookie and place 4th. And listen, he's got plenty of room in front of him, and he's got room behind him. He's looking super solid.
Let me throw this out here right now. As they run on the racetrack in 11th, Miles Rowe would have 356 points. This is, of course, unofficial. Me just looking at the points here. I want to say that Denmark will have 351 plus the 3 bonus points. No, he doesn't have fast laps, so 2 bonus points. He'll have 353. It will be a 3-point championship lead for Miles Rowe as they run on the racetrack right now, if he's not able to get by Weir and Garcias. But this is crazy. This is not what Miles Rowe needed. He probably should have let the pass go, potentially hold on to P3. But again, with the opportunity to stop Denmark from pulling away, this thing could potentially go to the 3rd event, the final race of the year on Sunday. 2 laps remaining. Denmark in front of Nikita Johnson by 1.9 seconds. Naveau, Clark, Douglas, top 5. Dazelski, 6th. D'Orlando up to 7th. This is going to help Michael D'Orlando as well. Nicky Hayes in 8th. Garcias in 9th. And Christian Weir in 10th. Let's have a look again then at the points potential here for D'Orlando, currently running in the 7th spot. That would put him at 337. So he'd be back by only 19 points. So he's still in the fight with Rowe now back into the 11th position. This is such a wild development for this championship. And again, we have to reiterate, $406,000 on the line right now for the scholarship that would move the champion into Indy Pro 2000. Nowhere else are drivers at this level running for these kind of stakes, the opportunity to continue your career, move up to the next level. And you remember, Indy Pro 2000, that's only 2 steps away from the NTT IndyCar Series.
Yeah, it is a big deal. And, you know, if you're a golf fan, last week the PGA Tour finished up the Tour Championship. You had guys making putts for $875,000, right. Okay?
Hold your breath on that one.
You literally just watched a guy go from 2nd to now 10th and could have cost him $467,000.
There's a lot on the ground. Yeah, it's at $406,000, like we said. And Rowe just going off the racetrack. It blows things wide open for the remaining 2 races of the weekend. Denmark now over 2 seconds from Nikita Johnson, who runs P2. Thomas Naveau, Matt Clark, and Jacob Douglas. Young guns coming to the forefront here right now. We'll see Johnson next year, 14 years of age. He'll turn 15 on essentially the Indianapolis 500 weekend. He's a Memorial Weekend baby. He'll be 15 when we get back there for Lucas Oil Raceway and Indianapolis Raceway Park for the Oval. He's only 14. Clark, his first race. Douglas, only 16 years of age. We got the young guns up front here right now in USF 2000, but Jace Denmark coming off a victory in Toronto. Trying to go back-to-back. He'll work his way out here. What a fantastic drive from the pole position. Big run down the straight with the Pabst Racing crew heading out. How about back-to-back jacks for Jace Denmark, the driver from Scottsdale, Arizona, winning for Pabst Racing the opening round of the triple header for USF 2000 here at the Grand Prix of Portland. A massive victory for Denmark, and talk about momentum for this young driver. 2 wins. He gets to within unofficially 3 points, maybe 4 points on the championship. This is fantastic. And for Nikita Johnson, a tremendous drive as well as he ends up finishing in second. Puts all that pressure on Rowe, able to force a mistake with a move 2x2 through turn number 10 and 11. And then Thomas Naveau rounding out the podium. This is big for Thomas Naveau as well. He needs a result like this. And then to cap off the top 5, 2 drivers deserving kudos. How about a debut for Matt Clark? If you're a Canadian right now who's looking for the next superstar, there's 3 and 4. Thomas Naveau from Quebec, Matt Clark from Ontario, Canada. His debut, he goes P4. This is a guy we're going to be watching for the next 20 years here in open wheel racing. And of course, Jacob Douglas from New Zealand, matching his best run of the year for Exclusive Autosport. Another top 5 for Jacob. He has found more and more speed second half of the season. Best run of the year for Danny Dzelski in 6th spot as well. Michael D'Orlando in 7th. He is lucky. The issue that they had with Rowe, he's not that far back. Less than 20 points off still in the championship. Nicky Hayes ends up 8th. Jorge Garcias at 9th. And Miles Rowe does end up, I believe, coming to 10th. He ends up getting by Weir on the final circuit. So move a couple of point shakedown there as well. 4 points back potentially. Unofficial on the right side of the screen we're looking at. Usually it's not quite exact, but Rowe still will hold the lead over Denmark. Guys, that was about everything you could ask for if you were asking for excitement here in USF 2000.
Not a bad way to kick off race weekend. I mean, everything, like you said. Great battles, wrecks, cautions. Fantastic.
And it's still Friday morning.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, we
I know.
should have had him
lunch
there
yet.
last year, right?
Oh, this is fantastic.
Still
Absolutely
Friday
fantastic.
morning. So the drivers, of course, will work their way around the racetrack. There's the remainder of the top 20 there. And again, coming right into pit lane right now is Jace Denmark. Bobby, I'm going to head out to Victory Lane. We're going to have our celebrations there. I'll head right back out to pit lane to do the driver introductions for Indy Pro 2000. Come back in and join you and Phil for another race, man. Indy Pro 2000 up next.
Can't wait. Let's do this. All right.
We're looking forward to it.
Oh, my gosh. Phil, what a race.
Wow. And we still got 8 to go.
We do. We still have to. What a drive, though, for Jace Denmark. Takes the victory. Points battle as now, again, unofficial. It looks like maybe 3-4 points. He's been able to make up that pretty much total. Man, I feel bad because...
Home today in 3rd spot for D-Force Racing, Thomas Naveau. And to present Thomas with his 3rd place trophy from Cooper Tires, Sean Malone. Cooper Tires, of course, our primary partner, fantastic partner of this road to Indy. Sean coming in to give Thomas Naveau a great run here. His trophy for P3. Watch for him to step things up again in race number 2 later on today. A tremendous young driver from Canada. Finishing in second, just 14 years of age and packed with talent from VRD Racing. P2 today, Nikita Johnson. Dan Anderson from Anderson Promotions, the CEO of the Road to Indy, will present him with his 2nd place trophy. And, man, we're looking forward. This is a precursor for 2023, I think, for Nikita Johnson. What a drive. Put the pressure on Miles Rowe and made a fantastic pass over in turns number 10 and 11 to move his way to P2. More to come for this young driver for sure. And another podium for VRD Racing. Dan, thank you so much. Let's bring the driver out here. This has really wound things up, folks. He won the last round in Toronto, got to within 25 points of the lead, put it on pole, won the race, most laps led, I believe, just 4 points unofficially separating 1st and 2nd. My winner today for Pabst Racing, Jace Denmark. Jace, I'll tell you, in Toronto, that was a big win. You know how big it was to get yourself back into the fight, just 25 points back. Put it on pole and kind of walked away, but Miles went at you there midway through the race. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's just really intense with the points and being teammates, and we're both super, super fast. So happy that I could secure a win and get a little bit more chunk out of the points, but just happy overall.
You feeling the pressure right now? Obviously, we got a couple more races. Are you just settling in and ready to go at it?
Just going with the flow. Just got to settle in. That's all you have to do to win these things. So.
First time here at Portland. What do you think of this racetrack?
Oh, it's beautiful. I love it. It flows really good, and it's fast and 10 and 11, and it's just a nice flowing track.
For the second straight race, you're on top of the podium. Get up here. One more round of applause for Jace Denmark. What a great run for him. Put himself right in the championship fight. Chris Pantani from Cooper Tires will come on up here and bring him with yet another first place trophy. Jace won earlier in the year as well at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, and now just 4 points back. And remember, $406,000, the scholarship on the line here this weekend for the drivers here in USF 2000 that they'll take to move to Indy Pro next year. And again, what a fantastic run we had today for Jace Denmark. Got challenged by his teammate Miles Rowe midway through the race, held him back through turn number 2 and 3, and that really allowed Nikita Johnson to fight his way back up. And Nikita, of course, head down, trying to get himself onto the podium as well. A strong run to the inside of turn number 10, backed out the first time, but got the run, completed the pass down into the corner again, turn 10 and 11. Rowe having trouble going off the racetrack and salvaging his way back to P10 to really tighten up the championship standings. But again, one more race coming later on this afternoon. Guys, we've got the champagne. I know you don't want to spray yourself because you got to wear these suits, so let's give it a rip. Champagne fly. One more time, folks. A round of applause for our first of 3 podiums here this weekend in the Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship. Jace Denmark with the win. Nikita Johnson second. Jace Denmark third. Now it's time to go Indy Pro 2000 racing, where Louis Foster could potentially lock down the championship and the scholarship worth over $614,000.